Hey guys, it's Sarah and I'm going to do my January bullet journal setup here for you guys today. I've already kind of sketched it out, so all I'm going to be doing is going over it in markers and kind of coloring a few things in here and there, but I'm going to go ahead and show you that process. And I will go ahead and show you what I'm going to be using. So obviously my bullet journal here, and I have a ruler. I'm using my pen. Now I got some questions on the last one about what pen I'm using, and the main one I'm using is this Micron 0.01 tip. So it has a 0.1 on the tip and it's pretty small, as you can see. It's nice to kind of draw the lines. It doesn't take up a lot of room. It's a nice fine line. So this is the one that I'm mainly using, and it does not bleed through on the pages. I got this at Hobby Lobby. And then I also use Flair pens a lot, which, are these right here. I'm keeping this one handy because I'm going to use this for my review books page. So I'm going to keep that one handy. And then I do have a little bucket here full of Flair pens that I plan on using. Now, another thing I do plan on using here are these, which are Kelly Creates, and they're aqua brushes. And I'm using these as a highlighter. So that's kind of what they look like. They are water-based, but they do not bleed through the page. I've already tested it out. And these are like a brush almost. As you can see, the tip is like a brush. And when you go through it, it's like a brush almost. And it is something I'm going to use kind of for highlighting books. I like to highlight versus check things off for me. I don't know why. It seems, I just really like the way that it looks. So for a lot of these pages, I will use these as a highlighter versus a check mark type of thing. I won't do it on every single page, but on some of them I will. So I'm also going to use these. I got these at Michael's if you're interested in those as well, but they're from Kelly Creates. Again, they're aqua brushes and they have all sorts of different colors. And so I got those at Michael's. And then one more thing I will be using as well are some colored pencils. Okay, these are the colored pencils that I use. These are called Fantasia Artist Premium Coloring Pencils. I've had these for a long time. I got them at a craft store called AC Moore. And they're just colored pencils, as you can see, in a bunch of different colors. And I've been using them, as you can see. Like, a lot of them are kind of run down a little bit, but I keep them sharpened, and I tend to use them in like my bullet journals and things that I kind of color things in. So I will be using these today as well. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started, but I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of the supplies that I plan on using. One thing I want to do before I get into January is I did want to add a few things here, and I'll kind of walk you through what I'm going to add, and then I'll start adding it. So I'll put you on fast forward for that. But I do want to add my goals in here because I haven't written those down yet. I did add the names of the books that I plan to read for 2019, my top 9. So I went ahead and did that already. I can update this a little bit. I probably won't do that here because I have to kind of figure it out. For review reads, I'm going to call it, now this is the little video series I'm planning to do where I read 3 of my backlist reviews and then do a video talking about 3 of those. So I'm going to call it Backlist Review Reads. That's going to be kind of the title of it. So I'm just going to add the word backlist up here somehow. Okay, so for books read, I will add something to that as well, but I'll do that. I'll talk about that when I get there. And then I'm going to add something here, and then we will get into January. So this is why I left a few pages blank between starting in January, where I'm going to do them by the month, because I wanted to give myself some room in case I had other projects come up or things that I wanted to maybe concentrate on that I wanted to keep a list of. So I gave myself 6 pages here before I get into January. So this will be my beginning of January thing. And then we'll get into everything else. So that's why I did that, because I did add something in here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I will put you on fast forward, and I will talk you through what I'm doing as I am doing it.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started with my goals. And I do have a separate video for the goals that I set for myself for 2019. So I will link that down below and in the cards as well if you guys are interested in seeing a little bit more detail about my goals. But here I'm just going to write them down, and I'm doing what I did last year, which is I'm just writing the goal and then drawing a very messy circle around it and then writing a number around the circle. I just really like the way that that looks. It keeps everything pretty separate, and I'm using different colors for each one, and I just really like the way that this looks. It's just a nice, very aesthetically pleasing to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and write them down. I do have 10 goals this year, not including my Goodreads goal, which is 100 books, which I did not write in here. I probably should have written it down in here, but like my Goodreads goal, I don't consider one of my official goals, I guess. It's just a Goodreads number because it could change. You know, if I find myself getting towards the end of the year and I don't think I'm going to meet it, I could lower it or I could up it if I want to as well. But I may add it in here somewhere. Maybe underneath the word goals, I could put, you know, Goodreads goal equals 100. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that next month. But I'm going to just continue to write these in. And again, if you want to see more detail about my goals this year, I will leave my video linked so you guys could see that in case you missed it. And then writing these on a smaller canvas was very interesting. I had to make sure I kind of wrote a little bit smaller than I did last year, but I do really like the way that it turned out. And this marker right here was starting to run out, so I didn't want to do the circle and stuff, so I'm just going to use a different color purple to write my 10th one down there. And then for this one, I'm just going to check off that I have read and filmed a review video for one of the books. I have not uploaded it yet, but actually that will be coming up on Tuesday. And I am writing in another review book I got, which was Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. I just got the e-arc for that, so I'm going to be reading that here soon too. Then for NetGalley, I'm going to highlight one book off there because I did read a review book off of NetGalley, and I wrote my review for it on NetGalley already, so I went ahead and highlighted that off. And then I'm writing backlisted review reads there. Now for this one, I fast forwarded this a lot because this is just me making lines. But for books read, I decided to add a couple columns at the end of it, and I decided that I wanted to keep track of not only the source of where I'm getting my reads from this year, so, you know, library book, ebook, physical book, audiobook, whatever. I'm going to keep track of those because I'd like to tally them up at the end of the year. And then I'm also keeping track of my genres. That way I can see what the genres were that I read this year and kind of what those stats are. So I went ahead and made those columns there. And now for my Advent books, I am going to draw the words Advent books here. And I'm using just the standard font that I've been using throughout my journal. I just really like it and I'm used to it now. So it's really easy for me to just go ahead and do. So this may be something that's a constant in my bullet journal. And I just really like the way that it looks. And then I have penciled in some presents, as you can see, as best I could. Again, I'm just not, you know, the best artist or whatever, but it works. And this is how I'm going to keep track of all of the Advent books that I got from Lisa and Lindsay. And I'm going to be keeping track of what I'm reading, and it would be really fun to look back at the end of the year and see how many of those books I read, because I do want to definitely make some of those books a priority. And I'm going to do that in a very specific way, which you'll see here in just a second. I'm doing just little diagonal lines inside the letters there. And I drew little presents. I'm going to do two different colors for them too. For this side, I'm going to do blues. So I have a couple different colors of blue here. And I'm just drawing like a really big bow, kind of. It works. It's fine. And then I'm going to draw kind of the outline of a gift, because since they were Advent books and we did them for kind of a Christmassy book exchange type thing, I wanted to kind of keep that theme going on here. So I'm drawing the outline of a present, and I do use a tissue to wipe the ink off the edge of my ruler every so often, because I have smeared ink across my pages before from that, just ink, you know, especially with the Flair pens. My Micron pen is not quite so bad, but the Flair pens are bad about leaving ink on the ruler. So I keep a tissue handy to make sure that I don't smear ink across my page. And then for this side, I'm going to do purple. So I'm going to draw a different type of bow here. And from what you could see before when I put a little piece of paper over top the other present, what I did was I went into Microsoft Word, just very basic, and I typed up the names of the books and who gave them to me. So I have a list for Lisa. So I have all the books that she sent me and a list for Lindsay and all the books that she sent me. And I'm going to tape those lists onto the presents. And then as I read them, I will highlight them with my aqua brush markers. So I'm going to add those lists on here now. And I just had to print them really small. I just kind of had to, gauge how big I wanted them to be and kind of made that work. So this is going to fit nicely here. And then I do need to add, make this go underneath a little bit better. And then I think for the purple, I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to make them smaller before, or make them longer before I put the list down. And then there they are. So they are ready for me to start checking them off. All right, so now I am putting you on big fast forward again because I'm just drawing and then coloring. And this is the intro to my January. And what I want to start doing is have a graphic for the month and then do a quote on the other side. So for this quote, it is "A book is a dream that you hold in your hands" by Neil Gaiman. And I wanted to do that one because I wanted to do these dream catchers and I thought that they went really well together. Now, I cannot take credit for these dream catchers. I got this idea on Pinterest. I saw a picture and I completely just copied it. So I just brought it up on my phone and penciled, drew it in pencil, and then I'm going over it in marker, and then I will color in the feathers with colored pencils. So I'm just trying to do different shades of blue here, and then I'll do different shades of blue to color them in with my colored pencils as well. And I will leave a link to my Pinterest board if you guys are interested in seeing my bullet journal Pinterest board, but I'm going to get a lot of ideas that way because, sometimes I may come up with my own ideas, but until I kind of reach that point, I'm probably going to be using a lot of Pinterest inspiration for these. And I'll always make sure that I leave links and credit and all that to, the images that I'm getting because they are not my own. So I'm really copying them. And so I want to start choosing, I think, a color scheme for every month. So obviously January is going to be blue. So I'm going to use this throughout my spreads here. And I'm going to kind of incorporate the little beads that are inside the dream catchers and kind of dripping off them as well. And I'm going to incorporate those onto my other pages as well. Okay, so I really like the way that looks. And now we're going to get into January. So this is going to be my kind of my TBR and my wrap up page. And I made a circle in the center and I put January reads on it. And then I will have, some of the beads there. And then I'm going to have 4 boxes and I'm going to see how this works for me this month and see if I like it this way. But I'm doing 4 boxes and this is how I'm going to kind of keep track of what I have coming up. And then, the last one is my wrap up. So that's going to be what I read every month. So that's how I'm going to do it. And I was concerned about a box being too small for my wrap up, but when I counted the lines that I have about 12 lines, and that would be an amazing reading month for me. So I don't think I'll ever need more than 12, to be honest. I don't know that I've ever read more than 12 things in one month. So I'm not too concerned anymore about that. But I went ahead and drew all those out, and then I have the boxes there. So I'm going to let those dry for a second before I put my hand on them because, as you can see, I'm left-handed and my hand tends to run through ink very easily. So I drew my beads on there and then I'm labeling these. So the first box is going to be ARCs and review books that I need to read for the month. And then I'm going to have buddy reads and then any readathons that come up because I would love to do a readathon a month if I can. And then I will have my wrap up. So that's kind of where I'm going to go here. And then buddy reads could be anything from, reading with one specific person or doing a read along group. anything like that is will go in the Buddy Reads square there. And then on this side, I'm going to have a page for my videos, and this is where I just write down like a checklist of all the videos I want to do for the month, and I check them off as I upload them. So I think I'm going to write down a few in here. It's definitely not as many as I'm going to do, but I kind of wrote down what was off the top of my head without having to look in my planner or look in my list or anything. So I will write down a couple here though. I'm going to go ahead and color in the beads here with my colored pencils. And then inside the videos font, I just made little polka dots in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and start writing a couple of videos down here. So, and some of these have already been uploaded. No, actually, I'm going to write in some books. Sorry. I think I'm looking back at my TBR and making sure I wrote those down. So I have my Buddy Read there, and then a couple of ARCs that I need to read in January. And then the readathon I'm going to be doing is the Buzzword Readathon, which is exciting. And I will have a TBR video coming up for that later this week. And then I think that's going to be it because I do not have anything for a wrap up quite yet. All right, so now I'm going to write down a few videos. And for this one, I'm going to make a checkbox and then write down the video title or what the video is going to be. So I'm just going to write down a few things here. And then I don't go back and fill any of these in on camera. I do it off camera later on when I'm filling in the rest of them. So, but this is what it's going to look like. And then I'll use my colored pencils to color those in as I upload them. And yeah, so I have that. And then we will move on to book list. So this is where I keep a list of the Book List Thursday videos that Lindsay and I plan out for the month. And then I write down the subject matter that we're going to be talking about. And then I also write down the books that I'm going to talk about. So I kind of plan it out a little bit ahead of time. That way, when I'm ready to sit down and film, it's all kind of there for me. And I can just kind of plan what I'm going to talk about and make sure I grab those books and all that. So I'm not going to write any of those in right now though. So, and then this one is book haul revisit. So this is going to be different. In my old bullet journal, I would write down each book from my last year's book haul and, check off whether I read it, unread, unhauled, whatever. But this year I decided not to put that much effort into it, especially since I'm not going to be picking books to put on my TBR this year. So what I'm going to do instead is I made these boxes, and as I'm filming the video, and I'm going to be doing more of a reaction type thing now, as I'm watching the video, I will put like tally marks in each of those boxes. So if I read it, I'll make a big tally mark. And if I didn't read it, all that good stuff. And then I will have a total number at the bottom. So my book haul revisits are going to be continuing, and it's definitely just going to be more of a stats thing. So I'm going to be inserting my old video onto my reaction, and I'll watch it with you, and I will talk about those books and whether or not I have read them and all that stuff. So that is what is going to be happening with that. But I did get a lot of good feedback for my book haul revisits, and you guys definitely wanted to continue seeing them, even if I don't pick one to put on my TBR, because that just ended up being too much. So, but they will be continuing, and it will be more of a reaction than anything. So it'll definitely be different. I'm excited to see how it works out. But I do like the way that these boxes look, so that'll be fun to do. And then I drew my beads again on either side of those, either side of the boxes there. So I will color those in, and I will color them in over here too, where I put them on the K, little loopy part of the K. And then for the letters here, I'm just going to just do a messy fill in, if you will. And then I'm going to fill in the beads here. And I'm trying to do different shades of blue and kind of keep it pretty random as I can. And then for my last one here, I'm going to do a buzzword readathon page because I am going to participate in it. And so I wrote out buzzword readathon, and then I put little like lightning bolts around it because, you know, buzz. And then the buzzword for this round is lie. And this on this page is where I will literally just write down all the books I pulled off my shelf to read, and then I will highlight them when I read them. And then that will help me do my wrap up as well. And I wrote down the dates and who it's hosted by, and then I'm writing the word books, and then I will fill that in. So here is a slower motion flip through here. So my goals and my top 9 to read in 2019. And then I have ARC requests where I'm going to keep track of those, review books so I can check them off when I'm done, what I have to read for NetGalley, which I will highlight when I'm done, backlist review reads, the books that I read completely, which I leave a couple pages for, my book list Thursdays, ideas, Advent books, and then getting into January with my opening page there, and my reading, my videos, my book list for January, book haul, revisit, and then my buzzword readathon. And that's all I have for January so far. So if I add anything else, I will be sure to update you. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'll have links down below in the description. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.